Hello, welcome to my humble abode. Today I wanted to discuss the cage system, chord shapes and things like that on a guitar, and how they all work. Most guitarists normally start off with something like a C, A, G, E, D, and never seem to understand how you can use these particular shapes to move further and further up the neck. And it does drive me a little bit bonkers sometimes that people find themselves limited to E shapes all the way up, or A shapes, and never seem to kind of get out of this little mode that of thinking where you can use other shapes. Now, everybody hopefully knows how to do a C chord. Really simple. Open thin string, which is an E. First fret on the B string, which is a C, using your first finger. Open G string, which is the third string. Second fret on the fourth string, which is an E. Then we're going to use the third fret on the A string, which is A, B flat, B, C. So now put them all together. You end up with C, E, G, C, E. Now you've got the thick string with an E. Some people like to move their third finger over to that sixth string and then put the little finger on the fifth string and get that sort of a sound, so you've got that G on the bottom. I'm sticking with an all bog standard C. Now, you might say, well, okay, brilliant, understand that, that's cool. Next we have an A chord. A, nice and simple, start on the thin string, easy enough, open. Second fret on the B string, C sharp, second fret on the G string, A, second fret on the fourth string, E. Then we've got an open fifth string, and you can use the open sixth string. Nice enough. C, A. Right, now let's go to a G chord. Now you probably can't see what I'm doing. Little finger on the third fret of the thin string. Then the rest of the strings are pretty much open up until the fifth string, where we stick our second finger on the second fret. That's B. Then the third finger on the sixth string. Third fret, yep. Okay, there's our G chord. C, A, G. Now if you're following this cage system, you'll notice that C, A, G, the next one will be E. Okay, E chord, nice and simple. First two strings, they're thin, they're open. No worries. First fret on the third string, that's a G sharp. Second fret on the fourth string is an E. Second fret on the fifth string with my second finger, that's a B. Then an open sixth string. That's our E. Okay, so we've got C, A, G, E, and then last but not least, a D chord. How do we do a D? Well, second finger at the second fret on the thin string. I'll say that again. Second fret on the thin string with your second finger. There we go, F sharp. Now on the second string, at the third fret with a third finger, is a D. Then we're going to use our first finger on the second fret of the third string to make an A. Then we've got the fourth string, which is open. And then you can use your fifth string open, technically. There we go. And if you want to, you can do something naughty like stick your thumb over the top and get this F sharp. Don't really like to do it. I normally have my thumb there just muting it. Unless, of course, I really want that sound coming in. So far we've got C, A, G, E and D. Now you might think, well, so what? I know those already. Okay, this is a moment where you kind of need to pause and go on to something like Google, whatever search it is, and pick out your images, and in your search field put in piano layout with nodes. Now, pause now, grab a printout of a piano, then you'll understand what I'm talking about next. Right, So hopefully you've got a printout of a piano layout, and normally they tend to do C to C. Now all the white notes, you know, watching out for racism there, can't say white notes, all the white notes or ivory notes, whatever you want to call them, the ones without sharps or flats, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and then C again. Now you'll notice that there's a kind of combination of 2 dark notes and then 3 dark notes. Well, there we've got sharps which are also flats. Now you might think that's a bit confusing. It's not actually really that hard. Okay, now the only ones that don't have sharps or flats between them are basically B and C and E and F. Okay, the rest of them normally have a little dark note in between them. So for example, you've got C here, you've got D here, and in between where I'm sticking my tongue out is a C sharp or a D flat. Nice and easy, you might say. And then in between D, well, D, get it the right way around, and then E, where my tongue is, there's a D sharp or an E flat. Okay, simple. Simple as, he says. Okay, so then E and F have nothing. Between F and G, F sharp or G flat. Simple. Between G and A, G sharp or A flat. You're kind of getting the idea. Nothing between B and C though, or E and F. Now we can use this method, especially with strings. Okay, you've got an E string. That's nice and simple. If you go to the 1st fret, well, you just move 1 step to the right on the piano. E to F. Now if we move up 1 more, some people will instantly go, it's G. No, it's not. There's that little dark note in between, that ebony note. That's F sharp or G flat. Move it up 1 more, it's a G. Move it up 1 more, it's a G sharp or an A flat. Now I have this lesson with students quite a lot, and I sort of say, what's the difference between the way those notes arrive when you alter them and move them up, and chords? And it's very rare that they say nothing, which is exactly what it is. You know, you've got a C chord. If you move it up 1 fret, now you might say, well, some of those notes are horrible. Well, that's because they were open originally. They were open strings. You didn't move them up, so that's where we normally put a bar in. You've moved a C chord up 1 fret. Okay, so what has that become? Well, C sharp or D flat. If you move it up 1 more, what's that become? Well, it's a D. That's the next one on the step. You know, you've gone basically C up to D sharp there, off to here. C, D sharp, D. C chord, move it up 1, C sharp, D. Just to prove, here's a D chord. Sounds exactly the same. Okay, so we can use this. We can just keep going up the guitar. I mean, once again, D, move it up 1 more, D sharp or E flat, E, F, F sharp or G flat, G, G sharp or A flat, back up to A. The same chord, just higher, because it's using higher pitched notes. Okay, so we can do this with E, move it up 1, the horrible F chord that everybody normally struggles with. I mean, if you just move it straight up, you've got all those open strings. Ugh. Yes. That's that wonderful F major 7 sharp 11. Okay, not everybody's cup of tea, but there is a moment when you probably need to use it. But stick that bar across, it's an F. Move it up 1 more, F sharp or G flat, G, G sharp or A flat. Move it up 1 more, A. You can hear they're the same. And that's why it's really important to take into account this idea of a piano with regards to chords. Now the same thing can also be done with minor chords. You know, minor. Okay, there's our E minor. Nice sounding chord. If I move that up 1 fret, still a minor chord. Hasn't changed into anything other than a minor chord. It's still got that, you know, major is happy, minor is sad thing going on, as we were always taught. Move it up one more, F sharp minor or G flat minor. Move it up one more, G minor. You know, and you can keep moving it up to D minor, which is obviously the saddest of all keys, apparently, allegedly, according to sources, which is there. Okay, so that's E minor. Well, you could do the same with A minor. Move it up one more, B flat minor. Move it up one more, starting chord for Comfortably Numb or Hotel California. Great chord. Move it up one more, C minor, C sharp minor, D minor. You can't tell I'm a Pink Floyd buff. I mean, that straight away, that's another brick in the wall part 2. You know, it's easy. You know, D minor chord. There's D minor. Note that I'm obviously rearranging my fingers every time I do a bar chord, because I'm going to need my first finger free to be able to do a bar. So you move something like a D minor chord, do the chord without using your first finger, move it up, put your first finger across. Oh, it's a mystical, magical thing, isn't it? It's so elusive from us when we start playing. I remember my dad doing this wonderful thing called the bar chord. I kept asking him, you know, how the bloody hell do you do it? And it took me a while before, you know, I suddenly had the light bulb go off in my head and realised it's just, you know, bog standard open chords just moved up. You know, remembering that going that way is going up, that way is going down. Now, you're probably there thinking, well, I don't understand this idea of sharps and flats. Well, if you sharpen something or flatten something, you alter the pitch of a note by either raising it, sharpening, or lowering it, flattening. To understand that, very, very simple. What happens if you sit on a sharp pin? You know, most people go, I go, ow. Well, also, the first thing you do is kind of get up, because you're not really going to keep sitting on a very, very sharp pin, so you go up. So, sharp pin, sharp, up. What happens to a flat tire? Well, it goes down. Okay, so lowering, you know, that's how I've always remembered things like sharps and flats and how they alter things. It's not really that hard. Now remember, whenever you get any open chord, C major 7, you know, you can play that chord, move it up one more, D flat major 7. You know, you could do it with a variety of different chords. You know, it doesn't matter which chord it is, as long as, you know, the ones that you're playing aren't open strings, because otherwise you're going to need to obviously affect them and move them around as well. So there, I mean, that's just a nice B major 9. Lovely sound. You know, move it up, C major 9, D flat or C sharp major 9, D major 9. You know, gorgeous sounds. I mean, never be frightened of them. They are lovely. You get all sorts of different weird and wonderful voicings all over the place. I mean, just don't be afraid of them. You know, let's just move these things around. Diminished chords. Just by basically using this idea of a piano, you can do so much. Because suddenly you realise that each string, each individual string, is basically the layout of a piano, just starting on different notes. Thin string starts on an E, then the layout is exactly the same as per a piano. It's just starting on an E. The same with the B string, and the G string, and the D string, and the A string, and the E string, and if you've got 7 strings, 8 strings, 12 strings, well, learn how to play a 6 string first. I'm still struggling with 6, let alone trying to start with 8. Oh, you're a real man, obviously. Okay, and that's all for today. Alright governors, you look after yourselves. Safe journeys.